All right, everyone, welcome back. We're diving into Fight Night, the Million Dollar Heist this time. This latest episode, Round 5, Ambition Ain't Free, Episode 5, is pretty wild. So we've got the recap right here if you want to follow along.
This episode really digs into the whole, consequence of ambition thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We see how it, pushes these characters, right? Makes
Yeah.
them do some desperate stuff.
Yeah, like Gordon, our supposed fall guy, suddenly working with Detective Hudson. That's a wild turn. I guess it's true what they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. Talk about survival instincts kicking in. And Hudson, I think, he's like a bloodhound, He smells a bigger story here, a chance to blow the whole thing wide open.
And he's not wrong. He uncovers all these links between, powerful crime families.
Oh, absolutely. The writers definitely elevated the stakes there.
For sure.
It's not just some simple robbery anymore. Suddenly we're in, this whole conspiracy thriller.
Right. Way more dangerous now.
Exactly. And it really highlights Hudson's character, too, don't you think? He's not just chasing a case, he's chasing justice. No matter, how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And speaking of deep, the robbers themselves are feeling the heat now, right? Andre and Lamar, they're at each other's throats.
Oh, absolutely. The pressure's on. They're scared of getting caught, obviously. But it's more than that. We're seeing their true colors come out.
You think so? How so?
Well, think about it. Lamar, he's still clinging to this weird, loyalty to Frank Moten, the ringleader.
Ah, so he's buying into that whole Robin Hood thing.
Right.
Except they're keeping all the cash for themselves.
Exactly. But Andre, he's all about self-preservation. Throw everyone else under the bus. Just survive.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
Recipe for disaster.
And speaking of disaster, Vivian gets taken by Missouri Slim. Brutal.
Talk about upping the stakes. Vivian being captured, that just throws everything into chaos. Now Gordon has to save her, too.
Right. He's trying to clear his name, and now he has to pull off a rescue mission.
It's impossible odds.
And as if things couldn't get worse, Hudson gets suspended. Sounds like he got too close to the truth.
Which, ironically, just makes him dig in even harder.
Because now he doesn't have to play by the rules.
Exactly. He's off the leash. But it's a dangerous game, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely walking a tightrope now.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone's backed into a corner, and then, boom, that standoff in the woods.
Talk about a powder keg. The way they build a tension, it's like you can feel it,
It's like the whole episode leads to that moment.
Right. And it's not just the action, it's everything these characters have been carrying with them. The betrayals, the ambition, the fear, it all comes pouring out.
Man, talk about an explosive confrontation.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You can just feel that tension, right?
Yep.
The whole episode leads up to that standoff.
Totally. It's like you got the woods, it's all dark and isolated, and everyone there is armed and dangerous.
Yeah.
And on top of that...
It's not just the physical danger, right?
Definitely not.
All that emotional baggage they're carrying. Betrayal, ambition, just the sheer will to survive.
Like their souls are on the line, not just their lives.
Speaking of which, can we talk about Hudson for a second?
Yeah, what do you make of him now? I mean, he's gone from by-the-book detective to, this.
It's like that suspension was the push he needed. It freed him,
So he could really embrace that pursuit of justice, even if it means bending the rules.
Yeah, but it's a dangerous game. It makes you think, how far is too far, right?
That's the question, for sure. Okay, but what about the other side? The robbers. We talked about Andre and Lamar, but what about their leader, Frank Moten?
I think we're starting to see the cracks. He's always been so in control, but you can tell the doubts creeping in.
Especially with Lamar starting to question them, right?
Totally. Lamar bought into Moten's whole Robin Hood act, but now he's seeing the reality. It's like he's holding up a mirror to Moten's ambition.
And Moten doesn't like what he sees.
I don't think so. It's like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and speaking of, poor Vivian, caught in the middle of it all.
The writers definitely upped the stakes with her capture. She's a wild card now.
Gordon's stuck. He's got to clear his name and save her. Talk about impossible.
It's like every move he makes just digs him in deeper.
And that shootout, that changes things for everyone. It's not just who lives or dies.
It's like they crossed a line. There's no going back from that. The stakes are higher, alliances are shifting, and let's be real, it just got a whole lot more complicated.
So where do we go from here? What happens now? So that shootout really changed the game for everyone, huh?
No kidding. Episode 5, total turning point.
Right. And from the recap, sounds like nobody got out unscathed.
Yeah, lots of damage control happening now. And I don't just mean physical injuries.
Oh, right, of course. We're talking about those emotional scars, too.
Exactly. After a night like that, they're reeling. It's going to take time to process all that.
And Vivian, She's away from Missouri Slim, at least, but still.
Oh, that's gotta leave a mark. It's like this episode really forced her to confront some stuff. Her own mortality, even.
Makes you wonder what you'll do now, Lay low. Or come back swinging.
That's the thing about this show, right? Always keeps you guessing. But speaking of tough spots, Gordon's in a real bind now.
No kidding. Survived the shootout. That's just the beginning, huh? Cops are still on his trail, plus now he's got the whole Hudson situation to deal with.
Talk about between a rock and a hard place. Remember how he just wanted a clean slate? Now look at us.
It's like the more he tries to escape his past, the more it just drags him back in.
And isn't that the heart of it all? Ambition. It can drive us to do great things, sure, but also some pretty destructive ones.
And no shortage of destruction in this episode, that's for sure.
Hmm.
So where do we even go from here? Any predictions?
Well, if one thing's certain, it's that nothing will ever be the same for these characters. This episode was a game changer. New alliances, new threats, and those lines. The ones between right and wrong. They're gonna get blurrier, I think.
Sounds like we're in for one wild ride.
Oh, absolutely. This season is far from over.
All right, everyone. So as we look ahead to what promises to be an even wilder ride on Fight Night, the Million Dollar Heist, think about that, Ambition, is it a force for good or a recipe for disaster? Or maybe, just maybe, it's a little of both. Until next time, stay sharp out there.